Let's try a little thought experiment. Imagine you're on a ship 1,000 years ago. You're trying to sail across a huge, unpredictable ocean. There's no GPS, no compass, not even a weather app. So, how did an ancient South Indian empire not only do this, but build a massive maritime dynasty? Well, that's what we're going to get into. We're going to uncover what might just be a lost science of the sea.
Right. First, let's really put ourselves back there, a full 1,000 years in the past. You have to forget everything you know about technology. This is a world where the only map you have is the one you can see, the horizon. And your only guide at night? The stars.
I mean, just think about this. No compass. You can't just pull out a little device to tell you which way is north. You are out on the open water, and literally every direction looks exactly the same.
And of course, no satellites. No GPS to give you that comforting little dot on a map. No way to see if a massive storm is brewing just 100 kilometers away. You were completely, and I mean completely, on your own.
And this is maybe the most terrifying part. No weather forecast. Nothing. No warning about the cyclones that can just churn these oceans into a killer storm out of nowhere. So that brings us to the big, mind-boggling question. How on earth did they do it? How did a South Indian empire send these huge fleets across thousands of kilometers of dangerous ocean and then get them back home safely? This wasn't just a one-time lucky shot. They did it over and over. This wasn't luck. This was mastery.
To figure this out, we have to meet the people who were masters of this domain, the Cholas, a South Indian dynasty whose real story, it turns out, was written on the waves.
Now, the Cholas were a land-based power for a long, long time, but their true legacy, their real power, was at sea. Their influence stretched all the way from the Bay of Bengal clear across to Southeast Asia. I mean, think about that for a second. We're talking about naval dominance over thousands of kilometers of open ocean. You just can't do that, not for centuries, without a really, really deep, almost scientific understanding of the sea itself.
So you might be asking, where's the proof? Well, it's not buried in some dusty old textbook. It's built right into the stone foundations of their ancient ports. And these things were engineered with an incredible, almost unbelievable awareness of the natural world.
Just look at what archaeologists have found. Their dock structures? They're perfectly aligned with the natural flow of the tides, which makes docking so much easier and safer. They even designed special zones where river water and seawater could mix to calm down dangerous currents. And their drainage systems were built specifically to handle the massive monsoon rains. This stuff isn't an accident. This is climate-aware infrastructure, built by people who knew exactly what nature was going to throw at them.
So what was it? What was their secret weapon? Well, it wasn't a fancy new gadget or some piece of technology. It was knowledge. And specifically, it was their total mastery of the monsoon winds.
See, the Indian Ocean has this really unique trick up its sleeve. The monsoon winds, they completely reverse direction every single year. It's like a giant natural conveyor belt. Now, if you try to fight these winds, you're gonna have a bad time. It's high effort, super high risk, and you might not get anywhere. But if you follow them, like the Cholas did, well, then the journey becomes almost effortless. You're literally sailing with the wind at your back. And the best part? You have a guaranteed ride home when the winds switch back.
This is the key. They basically took this massive force of nature and turned the entire ocean into a predictable superhighway. You could say it perfectly. For them, the wind was their engine.
Okay, so timing your trip with the monsoons solves the long-distance travel problem. But what about those sudden, deadly storms? For that, they had to learn how to read nature's own built-in weather forecast.
And this is where their knowledge gets just incredible. Experienced sailors could predict a coming storm by noticing all these tiny clues. A sudden change in the color of the sea, birds flying in weird patterns. They could even smell changes in the wind or tell something was wrong by how the clouds were layered on the horizon. Now, this isn't magic. It's a science of pure observation, honed over generations. And the crucial thing is, this knowledge wasn't written in a book. It was passed down, person to person, from master sailors to their apprentices. But okay, let's be fair. Whenever we talk about ancient knowledge, there's always a debate. Is it really fair to call this a science? Or are we maybe just romanticizing things a little bit? Let's get into the controversy. So, the main argument against this idea is a pretty solid one. Historians point out that, hey, we've never found a written manual. There's no Chola textbook on climate science or navigation that we can point to. But, and this is a huge but, the absence of a textbook doesn't mean an absence of knowledge. That's a really modern way of thinking about it. For countless maritime cultures all over the world, knowledge wasn't something you stored on a shelf. It was something that was lived, it was practiced, and it was passed down through oral tradition from one generation to the next.
So, if it was so great, what happened to it? Why did it disappear? Well, because it wasn't an academic subject. It was a living tradition. It only existed within these tight-knit coastal communities and sailors' guilds. So, as those ancient ports started to decline, and as new colonial powers came in and redrew all the trade maps, the entire system that supported this knowledge just faded away. It wasn't really destroyed, it was just forgotten.
When you boil it all down, the philosophy of the Cholas seems to be about a deep, deep respect for nature. They knew they couldn't conquer the ocean. You can't beat it into submission. So instead, they learned to listen to it. They learned its rhythms, and they figured out how to move in harmony with it. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Was their centuries-long dominance at sea just a massive string of lucky coincidences? Or were they practicing a truly sophisticated, observation-based science, a kind of deep climate intelligence that we, in our modern world, are only just beginning to rediscover and appreciate?